few years ago, I was depressed. It was the peak of COVID. I was in my first year of uni. I was trapped inside. I'd made a few friends, and every night we'd stay up until 5 or 6 in the morning drinking, doing drugs, smoking. Then I'd go to sleep and wake up at like 4 or 5 p.m. and spend the rest of my day in bed with the blinds closed. I'd get up and it would be dark outside, pitch fucking black. It was the middle of winter, and I'd go down to Sainsbury's, buy some shitty frozen pizza, stick it in the oven, then go to the kitchen again, see all my other friends, and do the same thing again, night after night. There were days in my life where I literally didn't see the sun. Months at a time during those winters, and it's not because I didn't go outside, it's just I literally would not be awake when the sun was up. I'd go to bed at 6 a.m. and maybe actually I'd see the sun there. More often I would see sunrises, right? I'd be up that late that I would see the sun, and then I'd go to bed, and when I woke up it would be literally pitch black outside. Even though university was online, I only had like 5% attendance in my classes. I don't even know how I passed that year. In all honesty, I wanted to die. And I wasn't actually thinking of suicide or killing myself, but I was living in a way where I didn't care if I actually died. Now it's 3 years later though, and it's completely different. I passed university, I actually did really well in it. I'm now traveling across the world with a girl I love. I'm working on my purpose, working on my goals. I'm loving life. The other day it hit me. I was out cycling on my bike, and then I was like, fuck me, I don't have my helmet on. So I stopped on the side of the road, I took my helmet out of the back and I put it on. And I was like, do you know what? That is like a massive thing, because in that moment I was like, wow, for the first time in so long, I actually realized that I care if I die. It was a moment where I realized how far I'd come, because 3 years ago I didn't have that feeling. There was no self-preservation in me, no urge that I actually wanted to continue living on this earth. I was doing things that could have killed me because I didn't really give a shit. If you can watch this video from start to finish without distractions, without TikTok in your phone scrolling, without Instagram up, then I can teach you exactly how I got out of my depression. Exactly how I climbed out of the hole. There's going to be a lot of actionable steps in this video, so get a piece of paper as you're going along and write them down, so you can either do them as the video is going along or after it's done, but commit to this video properly. There will be actionable steps that you need to do, and I want you to do them as we're going. And this is exactly how you can get out of depression. A little disclaimer before we start. There are differences, right? So I'm talking here about depression as I saw it. There's a lot of depressions that are extremely clinical, that are biological, that are about imbalances of hormones in your brain. And if you have depression like that, of course, go to a doctor, get on the medications they prescribe and stay on that. But if you like I was, these are the tips that can help you get out of that. The first key step is making a decision. It is deciding that you don't want to be depressed anymore. See, that's one of the big parts of depression and why it's so different to so many other diseases. It's because people come to accept it. Because it's a disease that lives in your brain, you develop a kind of identity with it. You believe that you're depressed, and so you live your life as a depressed person. You have no will to change it because you believe it's just like a part of yourself. The example I like to use is, imagine you broke your leg, right? Would you kind of just walk on it because you believe one day it's going to get better, or that's just it, you can't change it? Or would you go to a doctor and get him to do surgery on it, get him to change it? Of course you do the second one. Because it's your leg, because it's external, you believe you can change it, and so you make the decision to act in that way. Depression is different, it's inside of our brains, and the first step is treating it like a broken leg. This is not you, this is not your new normal, this is not the person you have to be, it's not your identity. If you're depressed and you feel like shit, it's because there is something wrong with you and you need to change that. So first actionable step, write down on a piece of paper, this shit changes, and stick it on your fucking wall. You decide now that you want to change this, that you want to get out of depression and break free, and so do that. Once you've done this, you need to understand a very core concept in this journey, and that is input equals output. And the law of input equals output basically states whatever you input into your life outputs a certain emotion. So a lot of people, me included at the time, I'd wake up every day, I'd see no sunlight, I'd be drinking, doing drugs, smoking, I was in a relationship I didn't enjoy. I was inputting so much shit into my life that the output was depression, anxiety, and just deep sadness and a lack of self-preservation. There are certain things that you can input that make you feel so much better. And part of getting out of this hole was honestly just thinking back to times when I was happy and what I was doing. So I'd look back 3 years before and I'd see myself reading a book, meditating, playing my guitar. The things I was inputting then were making me happy. But now I was inputting utter shit, and none of the stuff I used to do and I wondered why I was depressed. So that is actionable step number 1, right? I want you to get out a piece of paper and write down every single habit that you have, every single one. You need to do an input audit. You need to say everything you do. So drinking, smoking, vaping, drugs, good ones as well, cold showers, meditation, reading. Audit every single habit that you currently partake in. And once you've done that, take actionable steps to basically only input good things into your life. And it sounds really simple, but it kind of is. Most people don't do it because it is hard, but you need to make the decision that you want to change and so actually change it. Basically, the way to get out of a lot of this kind of depression is just look at things you're inputting. If they are bad things, stop them. If they are good things, amplify them or add new good things in. Input good to feel good. One tip, by the way, before I carry on was, like, sunlight is a big part of this. So a big part of that depression I was in was the input of no sunlight. And the thing that really helped me was just having your blinds open constantly. Don't ever have your blinds down. Wake up and go to bed with the sun. When the sun rises at 6 in the fucking morning, wake up with it. Don't ever have a day when you don't see the sunlight. Trust me, it is so shit for you. Next, you need to leverage the 6 levers of happiness. Now, I didn't actually know about this concept at the time. I just read it in MJ Demarco's The Great Rat Race Escape. But when I read it, I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I was actually doing all these things at the beginning, so I feel like I can actually speak about them by myself. But yeah, 6 levers to achieve happiness. The first lever is gratitude, right? You need to develop a deep gratitude for the things that you have in your life already. That is one extremely important part to happiness. There are 3 actionable steps for this one. Either do them now or write them down and do them later. But the first one is a gratitude journal. So write down right now everything you're grateful for. Get very simplistic with this, right? Write down that you're grateful for your house, your food, your friends, your family. Write down the things that you're grateful for, every single one of them. Now the next part is gratitude letters. So pick 2 or 3 people in your life, get a piece of paper out and just write a letter to them. Say, dear, I don't know, fucking mum. And honestly, do this with people that maybe you don't like. That's actually more powerful. Do this with people that you actually believe having somewhat impacted your life. So write down, for me, my parents actually were a big part of my depression. So you'd write down, dear mum and dad. And then write down every single thing you're grateful for. Don't write anything bad. Don't try and be like that guy who's like, oh, I'm grateful for like you being mean to me because that made me stronger. Write down the things that you are genuinely grateful for them for having done. You don't have to send a letter or anything. I mean, you can if you want, it's quite good. But even if you don't, just writing them down, the action of writing down exactly why you're grateful for someone can improve your quality of life so much. Then the last actionable step for this tip is negative visualization. So this is a Stoic concept that basically says when you imagine the things that you have disappearing, you will learn to appreciate them so much more. So spend a bit of time basically thinking about, like, imagine this fucking cup didn't exist. I wouldn't be able to drink water. Like, that would be so sad. Imagine this house didn't exist. I'd be wet and I'd be cold. If my food didn't exist, even though it's not great food, it sustains me and it builds me. Implement negative visualization into your daily life and start it right now. Actionable step number 3 is that. Imagine the things you have and imagine them disappearing. Now, the second lever is family and friends, and specifically positive relationships with your family and your friends. And this doesn't necessarily mean blood relatives, right? So for me, a lot of my depression actually came from my parents. So when I say this, what I mean more is build strong and positive relationships with the people that are closest to you in your life, with the family that you build, with your girlfriend, with your children, if you have any. The family that you've created rather than necessarily the family that has been given to you. But more importantly, your friends. Build strong and positive relationships with the friends that are closest to you in your life, the ones that you love, the ones that love you. So speak to your friends. And one thing before, like, I'll caveat that with, don't talk to them about your depression though, by the way. Don't tell them that you're depressed. And a lot of people say this, like, be open, but I really don't agree with it. I think for a lot of people, when you constantly talk about problems that you're having, it solidifies those problems as your identity. If you're constantly telling people that you're depressed, you will start to believe it yourself. It's like the first tip we spoke about how you have to decide it's like a broken leg, right? If you're constantly talking about depression, if you're constantly telling your friends, oh, I'm depressed, it solidifies it as an identity within you and makes it so much harder to break. But this actionable step goes 2 ways as well, right? If there are people in your life who are dragging you down, if they are holding you back, cut them out or at least reduce contact with them. Now, the third lever is freedom. And this isn't really what I incorporated, and there's not really an actionable step for this, but it basically says the more control over your life that you have, the happier you will be. It basically says that if a man owns his own kingdom, he will have the room to grow. rather than if he lives in the kingdom of his parents or his university or whatever. You need to have control over your own life in order to grow inside of it. Now the fourth lever is purpose. It is your ikigai, it is your reason to get up every single morning. And we've made a video on this before, but basically ask yourself the question, what are you good at? What do you love? What does the world need? And what can you be paid for? That's the actionable step, is ask yourself those questions. And whatever meets in the middle is your ikigai. It is your purpose in life, the thing that you do that will get you up every single morning. And it is more so than anything, the most important part of happiness. To break free from depression, you need something bigger than depression. You need something up there, something effervescent that you can aim towards, something that you can work towards and achieve. You need a purpose in life. Now the fifth lever is self-development. Grow yourself. Do the tips that everyone talks about: no-fap, cold showers, meditation, reading. Reading is so important. Reading is what got me out of my depression. So actionable tip for this step is go and find a fucking book that you want to read, decide on it, and download the free PDF even for it. A few that helped me, the two that helped me actually, were A Guide to the Good Life by Irvine and The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, I think his name was. Those are the two books that got me out of my depression. Read them if you want, read another one if you don't want to, but actionable step is download a PDF for a book on self-help and read it. Another little caveat I'll make though on the whole reading thing is consume the right content, because if you're depressed, there's a tendency that you're going to consume depressing shit. And that's one thing you need to look out for. So if you're reading a book, don't read a book on fucking suicide and a sad book. If you're listening to music, don't listen to Lana Del Rey or some shit. You need to be listening and consuming things that are positive for you and for your health, that will grow you and won't put you back in these kind of cycles of depression. Now the sixth and final lever is health. You need to make sure your body is fully optimized. So cut down on drinking, stop doing drugs, stop smoking, stop vaping, start exercising, start lifting weights every day. The gym is a really crucial part of this because it works as the cornerstone habit. If you go to the gym, you start looking after your health in every other aspect of your life. So start exercising, start optimizing your health. And that is the final lever of happiness. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Leave a like and a comment. You'll find those right below the subscribe button, and join the Discord. The Discord is a great place full of men just like yourself who are struggling with the same things you are, who are on the same self-improvement journey as you. Come there, talk to me and the other guys about your problems, about your depression, about trying to break free. Also now I've started doing free calls. So go to the description, fill in the application form, fill in a date and a time, and have a free one-to-one personal call with me, where you can ask me anything, ask for advice, whatever it is. Sign up for that and I'll see you there. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. Manifest excellence. Goodbye.